Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are. Whatever time it is when you listen to this. Welcome to my channel. I'm Fifth Degree, but you can call me Fifth. Okay, y'all. Ultimately, I'm going to do this reading really quickly. Realistically, just to cleanse out some of the evidence, right? See exactly what's going on. With this particular deck, I typically use it for business. So I think it's gonna be a business reading, okay, y'all. Okay. Now the irony that comes into place with the business reading is the type of partners or partnerships that will be discussed is not intended to be romantic at all. No whatsoever. Okay. But yeah, if you know, you know. Right? Business, depending on what it is you're creating or your business is, it could have something to do with romance. All right. You do have quite a few planets in retrograde, and that would affect business. Some people may not be really wanting to get out that much. All right. So that being said, not all readings are going to resonate with everyone. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. That simply means that this reading isn't for you. All right. And if it don't fit, don't force it. If it does, don't ignore it. And if it doesn't, right? Don't force it. Don't make some stuff go in a way that you get because you can regret later on. Huh. I think it was 143 when I said regret later on. Lord, all right. What's on? Okay, first card's out. We got the World and Judgment. So some completions of some cycles. The completions of some cycles in regards to one's judgment. How it is that people would be, I'm pretty much getting from it, the judgment that people have. Buried, when things will be buried. And in this world card is given like Indies, like the actual Indians across seas, and then I was hearing I heard Native American. Yeah, I'm thinking somebody must be doing business with a native, right? And they are from actual India. Okay, Queen of Swords, overall essence. I'm sure getting direct to, straight direct to the point. This particular Queen of Swords, she gives off essence of like Hecate or Hecate, depending on where you're from. But from Hecate, then you got the Chariot, the Sun, and Knight of Pentacles. In short, what it looks like we got going on is the completion of some open cycles where one wouldn't have had some judgments. It would have been this victoriousness and being enlightened on, who would be coming in with this stabilizing offer. It's that portion. The other portion of it is in regards to it's the doing of the stabilizing offer. Also seeing with this, you got a lot of high vibratory situations. Yeah, this is all high vibe shit, y'all. So the stability and practicality that comes within recognizing the humanitarian aspects of what constitutes our culture, different ways of doing things, and then there being a decision that will be made in order for one to be victorious, moving quickly in their enlightenment and happiness. And in this dress, in this sun card, this dress is fabulous, honey. Like the feeling is fabulous, and the doing is really, it's a huge vulnerability that'll come with it. It's a huge vulnerability that's gonna come in regards to this Knight of Pentacles, this offer. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. It's really giving the sturdiness or the stability portion more than anything. Let's see what else we got coming through. Anything else want to come out? Now, in this, I was about to say, in this, if you're watching this and it's realistically, you feeling like a real love essence, yeah, that's Gemini essence that comes into place with it when you dealing with business. They be talking about stuff with Gemini. Okay, Page of Pentacles. At the end, with the whole Gemini aspect, at the end, it's not a part of it isn't a good offer. The other portion of it, it wouldn't be a small token of stability. It'll be a bigger one. Well, all this major arcana going on, it's a lot of really huge influences that will come into place. Is basically what that boils down to. And then being the Empress. Last movement of the Empress. Um, in the interconnectedness that'll come into place with it. So on a business aspect, a lot of this stuff is realistically talking about some of the different situations that will be going on with the higher ups. And then there's temperance reverse in there and the impatience that'll come into place. I'm looking at it, yeah, being some court cards too. There's some shit maybe going on, some legalities due to some stuff going on with some investigations. That would definitely play a huge part in it. Anything? Ooh, okay. With the influence of a new beginning, the leap of faith, so to speak. You want to know what it is? People always like to say that with the Fool card that it's a leap of faith. It's not always a leap. It's not always a quote unquote leap of a literal leap of faith. Realistically, when you've done something, and I feel the inclined to say the definition of insanity is doing something the exact same way every single time and expecting a different result. If you've been on a particular journey or you had, with some situations with some judgments that will come into place, paying attention to a journey and even the fool's journey. And when it would have gotten to a point where, completion, the completion of the cycle comes before the judgment comes, opposed to the judgment coming before the completion of the cycle. Right? Yeah, in short, with the way the planets is giving us like a completing doing things in a different way, right? Or just changing one thing and knowing what's the one thing it is that you have to shift and change and move in regards to spiritual connections and in regards to within this happiness because one wouldn't have been rejected. And what constitutes as rejections? Yeah, in the business aspect, I'm gonna go ahead and say this, especially if you're an empath and you're doing business. One of the biggest things that always comes into place with stuff is being an empath and being a mirror, right? A A lot of times people don't really understand what that truly entails. You feel what others around you are feeling, and sometimes, within the discarding of it, even clairaudio, clairvoyant, clairsentient, go look up the clairs, ultimately is what I say. To get, but in a lot of instances, you don't even need to have special gifts in that regard to make a sound decision. I think that's the part that people are kind of starting to miss. Because, yeah, because within it being the 4% interest is typically what cups means in a business reading, and even in the business of romance. Person being interested in March or April. Let's see what the nature of this is. That'll make it a lot easier. Okay. This is about the shadow side of things, the shadow side of business. The shadow side of business, the shadow side of businesses. Okay? And the nature of it. And how one will seek for answers within, opposed to outwardly. And within one sharing their thoughts. So obviously, so what's going on is there was some conversations that would have been had on the business end that would have let the higher ups know, for real, what it is, yeah, how first of all, how some cycles would have been happily accepted. I mean, yeah, along with the offer of stability and within shaping and sharing the thoughts. Okay, it's one of those what you think type situations. Oh my goodness, people. It will be about working with people versus working with a machine. That's what that's about. What it is to work with a person opposed to working with a machine. Oh my goodness. Well, this is the time of Aquarius. It's been this way for real for about I want to say definitely 4 years. But people is really starting to spread. Like a small portion of us were a little bit more susceptible to it when it initially happened. The shift from Piscean to Aquarian aspects. And then, why do I feel Aquanine? Okay, that's interesting. Uh, but that means businesses were already evolving, but within them evolving already, what they weren't doing was evolving what constitutes as technology on a broader scale. Part of it was because it was costly. Yeah, we've had artificial intelligence has been around for a while. Like I remember in early 2015, they had an artificial artificial robot, artificial intelligence robot. She wanted a family and kids and a whole bunch of other stuff. And sure, you can't say just because something or someone is mechanical or programmed, however, that they don't have wants, needs, and desires of inclusivity. Yeah, because you could think yourself into whatever the reality is. When your logic is more clear, you can literally think yourself into whatever emotion you want. That's that'd be the whole problem with the slang term. Respect the process, respect my process, respect your process. Oh, you need to know what the fuck the process is to begin with. Any capacity. Let me stop. My bad, y'all. Watch my mouth. All right, let's see what wisdoms we got that are coming in place with this. especially with this whole situation and there being an evolution. Okay, there being an evolution on a higher scope of communication with pride and leadership. Communication, pride, leadership. What's the overall? Music, poetry, myth, history, the enchantment of storytelling. In short, no, because it's giving the creative aspect, but it realistically is an emphasis on not the create, not the creation, but who created it. Yeah, in short, in the business aspect with different interest rates and shit like that, it's gonna be really important for you to understand who was at the forefront, who's at the forefront, and things of that nature. And in this regard, how some people would be too, yeah, in the communication aspect, they would be proud and they exert leadership. Okay, so you got the spider, so it's some creative projects. That makes sense. This definitely does make sense. You got the spider for creative objects and mystery. Hmm. And it's back to the board. Yeah, when it comes to the creative projects, now that came into the portion of share your thoughts, and that's right on top of that transition that would have come with the happiness with an offer to stabilize a person. Me personally, I say this all the time. I know the readers are not going to agree with me, but it don't take that damn long for a person to come in with some money. It really don't. It really don't. People been lying during these fucking readings. You need to think more logically. If you have something that's hard, right? It's hard. It doesn't have, yeah, because this goes the thought mind, lack mindset. It does go to lack mindset. Okay, because and when you're doing a when you're carrying something hard, right? Tangible is what I'll say. Carrying something tangible is really easy. It's that emotional stuff that's really difficult. So while you'll get some people who say, that the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving night, or a night of finances, a night about money, whatever what have you, that's the slowest moving night in the deck. Don't, I don't see it that way. I think that's inconsistent. That's the way we've been conditioned. Now, what is the slowest moving night in the deck, so to speak, would be the Knight of Cups, because it will be talking about emotions, it will be talking about intimacy, it will be talking about apologies, it will be talking, or depending on which way it is, it will be talking about envy, all of those different things. So I'm just gonna say that. I'm gonna say that part. Yeah, intimacy takes a lot more time than money, than finances do. A lot of people don't really understand it. Yeah, just because it's true, and that's the part of it. That's the other part of it. Yeah, because to the growing interest rate. Like, think of it as an interest rate. An interest rate doesn't grow and double that quickly. It takes time for it to develop. However, when you're talking about the actual payment for it, right? Now, the payment for it, that what makes people think that it would take a really long time, even if it isn't a small offer, right? The payment for it would be a situation like it'll be about priority. That's why it seems like it's a so the same thing that comes into place with the emotion of feeling like a person would need to apologize. It'll be about priority, right? And when you're in a commitment, because this commitment right here, yeah, it looks like it's a whole bunch of um, stuff going on. Now, because the other portion of it is the Now I heard doing your big one and all this other stuff, and how a person would really be putting themselves out there for varying situations. Okay, how do you expect for, yeah, this is the other reason, because I'm thinking that this Knight of Pentacles, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, whatever, is really important. How else do you expect for people to have forward movement if they don't make themselves available for it on a financial aspect? You can't get customers. You can't talk to people. Even, yeah, and that would even depend on which avenue it is you're utilizing. Because in the creative process, the mystery that comes into play, that would come into place with it, it's like, yeah, who wrote this or who did this or who did that. Yeah, when the reality is, yeah, you can be proud of who you are in a company. That's the other portion of it. Yeah, because what it's given is, who would have come up with the idea to do something, but who actually gets credit for it. That's what that's about. And the intellectual theft and, uh, yeah, it's, oh my goodness, how do we, yeah, because what it's given is someone was doing a presentation. Then someone doing a presentation, they started sharing their thoughts. And it boiled down to what it is that would have been nurtured. Okay, let me get this out a little bit. Yeah, yeah, are y'all paying attention? Yeah, because it's given that someone needed to pay attention to something that would have been said. Let's get this last little bit. I'm a little curious now, y'all. Yeah, because it's on the one hand, right, with the shadow aspect of looking inside yourself, you can look inside yourself literally for everything. That's that whole hermit aspect. And it'll also tell you if you're hermit aspect 2222, the difference between what we constitute as being extroverted, being introverted, being an ambivert, which means you can go either way. You don't mind being around a lot of people, but you enjoy your alone time. 2244 when I said that. Okay. But you enjoy your alone time versus dealing with, for lack of a better phrasing, the hierarchy in all three of these categories. Okay. An energy vampire that is an extrovert, and an energy vampire that is an introvert, an energy vampire that is a ambivert, and or energy or not energy, an empath that is an extrovert, an empath that's an introvert, and an empath that is an ambivert. Please understand, just because you identify as, say for instance, extroverted, that's not going to be what constitutes you as an essence vampire, because you're supposed to get fueled and funneled off of the interactions of others, right? But what does make you an extroverted essence vampire is when you steal ideas and creative projects, or you get it from off of another individual and you don't give credit for it. That's what, yes, it's always intention and it's always about what you do. You'll be amazed how many people mess that up, especially in a corporate setting. About because certain things, creativity is really not a competitive situation that goes on with creativity. As long as you create from your heart, you typically can get a lot of stuff done and together. So the plan for a tower moment, manifesting. The plan to manifest it for the magician. Yeah, if this is in regards to, yeah, something that I said. No, because it's given with that teenager aspect. that'll come into place with the Knight of Pentacles, the young adult portion, and on top of that, you know what else it is, y'all. Y'all need to pay attention to how it is you're governing yourselves because we're shifting from the Libra Aries axis into the Virgo Pisces axis. If you know, you know, you should have been able to start. Some of us, right, would have been able to start feeling it about 2 months ago, 2, 3 months ago, because you would have been getting inclinations as to what it is you need to prepare for. Things that you should have done, shit you should have been checking off your list. Right, Daughter of Baskets, that's that intimacy, friendship. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. What it is to not carry the emotion or the drive on the sleeve, but carry it in one's mind and be able to put it into, she carrying a tea kettle or a coffee kettle. And if you're a tea person or a coffee person, yeah, because the irony that comes into place is there are so many different things that come. Yeah, tea can mean everything. It could be ranging from a person's name all the way to discussions, right? Slang for discussions. And the irony that comes into place with you can trace back what would have happened or taken place based off of the lingo that would have been utilized. Like, yeah, slang is one of those situations where it has an origin. So what I'm getting from it is look at the origins. Hmm. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Okay, because what I just heard was, and if you asking God for help with being inspired with things, yeah, how you gonna? That's that be a slap in the face that a lot of creative people have. It does. It does. It is, and it has been for a really long time. That's the problem. Yeah, that's why some people don't get what it is that they would need in regards to that, especially on the businesses, because it's one of those y'all like to say shit like it's business, it's not personal, but you're fucking with somebody's livelihood. Oh my god, I'm cussing so much. But you're messing with someone's livelihood, right? And you in the creative process of whatever the business is very important for you to have a stable mind. That's just like when you wake up in the morning. I'm so serious. I don't like people who do this, man or woman. And I don't care how you identify. If when a person wakes up in the morning, if you ensure that they've had a really cruddy night, and then they finally get rest, and they wake up in the morning, and you want an argument, you are that's personal, right? That's a personal situation that will affect the business. So being energetically connected, spiritually connected, all this stuff to toxic people like that, that will mess up your business. It will. Think long term, not short term. I just did a reading on it. The karma that comes from short term thinking, short term gratification, opposed to long term gratification. Anyway, yeah, and with Virgo Pisces axis, when you're an adult, you have to think like an adult. Don't think like a kid. If you think like an old person, right? And this is what I mean by old person. Think like an elder. Try to think like an elder would. But also understand if you think like an elder would, it has to go across the board. It can't be just when you feel like it, what pertains to it versus what doesn't. And then on top of that, pay attention to what elder you start thinking like. Because, fun fact, in the United States of America, there were more people who were over the age of 60 who had venereal diseases. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, I just feel like I should put that out there. Anyway, the other portion, the moving towards, I really want to say moving towards the calmer waters in regards to what will go on with one not being attractive, one not, moving towards calmer waters and the dramatics of being accepted and not having recognition. Under wraps. What happens when things are being kept under wraps? Okay, let me go ahead and say this. Stop saying this shit is being kept under wraps. You can't say that things are being kept under wraps. You wanna know why you can't say that things are being kept under wraps? Because everybody business keep coming out because you keep trying to hide the same thing. So just fix it. Yeah, that's craziness. I don't see how. You know what? In some of these instances, I don't see how. That's not my business though. That's not my business. I'm gonna just finish this out. Yeah, cause that I can follow the chain of thought, but just because I can follow, or just because any person can follow a chain of thought to any capacity, doesn't make it valid or even right when you put it under the microscope. Just because you can understand the mind of an addict doesn't mean that you have to be, doesn't mean that you were an addict before or an addict in that way before to get the process of it, of the addiction. Yeah, because according to this, what it boils down to is it being being dramatic. And you can't say that a person is being dramatic when you got this kind of stuff going on, though. For real, y'all. Nope. I just heard something about reading reversals. Let me explain. Here's the issue that comes into place with reversals. I heard that. Here's the thing that comes into place with reversals. You, not everybody has a type of a reversal as you would think, because what is given is return to sender. That's what is given. Part one. Part two, if a person is an alchemist or not, and if it was known that they would have been an alchemist well beforehand. Because a lot of times people think that, now a lot of times people like to play their game that, they would have known something. Like, that's just like, trying to think of a good business person. Because you don't get to do good business without good relationships. So serious. If you don't have good relationships surrounding you on your day to day basis, you're not gonna do good business. I don't care if you call these people your friends, family, whatever, what have you. If they own some sneaky manipulative, whatever, what have you, it's going to screw you over for the financial portion later on down the line. Okay, so that's that part. The other portion of it is, um, with them being a good business person, the main thing I noticed is you have to pay attention, not even necessarily, yeah, because I kept hearing something about people losing their intuition. Okay, get it back by following the fucking patterns. You basing stuff off of your intuition, and according to what this was, your intuition is based off of the payout. It's not based off of the actual fine print. Okay, I hope they helped y'all out. I really do. I'm trying to, yeah, because it's the same with a relationship. It's the exact same with a relationship. How you, and because you are your own business, if that makes sense. And sure, you're important to you, and how important you are to yourself depends on how much another individual will value you. Okay, So hopefully that helps you guys out just a little bit. Give you a tad bit of an inclination as to a few different things that will be going on. If you'd like to please like, share, subscribe, or you could email me at lightworkandlightworkllc@gmail.com. Okay, that'd be really helpful. Okay, but alright, cause see, remember, light work, it ain't light work. It is not light work. It's not light work, and that's why you have to stay light.